Hello everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new album by Day to Remember, Big Ol' Album, Volume 1. So this did come out over a month ago if you pre-ordered it on vinyl or CD. I think it's anything physical it came out, but as I didn't do that, it was pretty much the release day for me for streaming, so now I get to review it. So Day to Remember are trying to make a big comeback after the 2021 album You're Welcome was a big flop in my opinion, and I think that's kind of the consensus of it, at least the general one. It is very unfortunate that Day to Remember, one of the most iconic pop-punk metalcore bands, has actually finally gone into a rut of some of the absolute worst material they've ever had on the previous record. But a Big Ol' Album Volume 1 tries to steer the band back into a better direction, but we got to see if it holds up, because frankly, some of the singles haven't really been that promising to me. The first two songs on the album, both singles, I didn't like. I didn't like Feedback especially, as I think this is generally one of the worst songs they put out. It's absolute cringe lyrics, and it gets even worse the fact that this is talking about how the reception of the last album was terrible. So, yeah, but anyway, yeah, and also the Make It Make Sense single I just didn't really get into. But we had a bunch of new songs to check out, and while I do remember Miracle and LeBron, these ones are fine singles. The better stuff, the more it feels like a Day to Remember that I remember, doing kind of more of the pop-punk metalcore sound in a decent way, I think, an attempt, but it didn't really matter because a lot of the songs just kind of felt very barren once we got the album. All My Friends is some of the worst lyrics and writing, that it definitely stands out in this generic octane core direction. It has literally nothing going for it other than it just has the most cliche sound the genre's ever seen. You also have a bunch of collabs with other artists. You've had Inspiration, and just bands enter the studio in general, such as you've had Ollie Sykes, who helped write with Die For Me, which I don't think that really elevated the song into any better light. It just kind of feels like more or less a very generic, average Day to Remember song in this decade, the weakest decade for sure from the band's career. And then you have Silence, which if you've heard this album, you would easily know that this is a very heavy Gojira inspired track, and it kind of resembles the Magma Fortitude sound, which is just such a weird decision because I don't think it fits in the album, and I don't think it's done well either. I don't really want to hear the Gojira sound with this more overproduced, generic metalcore octane sound. It just really ruins what was an actual well-crafted direction, because honestly, Gojira, while Fortitude might be considered as the weakest link in the band's discography, I think it is absolutely a behemoth over Day to Remember in this day and age. But yeah, Silence is really bad. I'd rather just skip this one, honestly. But I find a lot of the songs just don't really appeal to me. The heavier stuff kind of resembles more of the earlier days, which is nice to hear, but I don't think it's the writing helps in any way. And the pop punk elements, when they're done right, they can be fine, but it's only a handful of songs like Flowers I think even sounds fine with it. It's just a weird concoction of different ideas and experimentation. It gives us a random result, which is this. I guess it's just because it's a big old album of all different ideas. They wanted it to be very experimental, but I'm going to be honest, while it is better than You're Welcome, I just don't really see myself going back into it. It's just a lot of songs that I don't think any of them really pull my interest back in. It just kind of feels like a standard listen of something we've heard before, but not in a very well written light, and the writing is just absolutely decreased over the years for the band. But yeah, I gotta be honest, I just didn't really care for this one. I'm gonna have to give it a 2 out of 5. I honestly think A Day to Remember, they are definitely capable of making a better album, especially since this is a lot better than the last, but that's not really saying much at the end of the day. So yeah, hope you enjoy, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.